All right, guys. So to give you guys kind of a recap of things, in short, and just a phrase, things are deteriorating fairly quickly within the United States. If you haven't noticed, um, and there's a real simple reason for this. Since at least the Reagan years, when it has come to how politics are done in this country, the side that wants regression has rammed through everything they want immediately and as soon as possible, whereas the side that wants progress is taking too long to do it. For example, Project 2025 is something that, again, this will keep going on. It doesn't matter who gets elected, it's going to keep going on. They're going to keep pushing that. And once they get a foothold, they're going to push as much of that forward as they can and do it quickly. And they're going to do it not just in the realm of Congress, but in states. Like we've seen states that are now making 10 Commandments forced to be in schools and Bible teaching, right? So they're going to push it through as fast as they can. But the challenges to these take forever. The legal system is being abused because they know where they can and can't do things. And we're not fixing those problems. Those problems aren't getting fixed. Democrats who are going to get elected, if we're going to continue supporting the Democratic Party, we really don't have another option for a Democrat because the only thing they are is they're a roadblock at this point. They slow down the regression in this country. They just slow it down. We haven't stopped it. Because every time Democrats get a lead, and I'm tired of seeing this, every time they get a lead, they don't do anything. They don't push their agenda through. They need to stop trying to work with the other side of the aisle. Those days are over. This country's divided because one side is doing what they want and the other is getting pushed back and pushed back. And not for any better reason than it's only helping the wealthy elite in this country. The more recent events that took place are really shameful with SCOTUS making decisions that they have. And unfortunately, that's going to make things worse. And while, yes, we are seeing a lot of the vocal minority champion like they've won something in this, they won't realize how bad it is until they start losing their rights. The problem is most of these people are white, therefore they're not going to see a lot of the effects of this past what they're already saying. So to them, being poorer is just the effect of the Democrats. They don't realize what's being done to them. They're not going to. And I've said this before in other videos. You're not going to get through to those people. It's not going to happen. We're not going to change minds. We are past the point of changing minds. And people in my comments before have said, but should we try? And you know what? That's up to you. If you think you can have an argument with somebody that believes that one race is inferior or other races are inferior and that the man holding them down is another color, while it's not, if you think that you can win an argument or change those people's minds, you go ahead. But since my 20s, I have been dealing with people that refuse to even think, that just have talking points. I did a flag video, go check it out, that has different versions of the flag and explaining why it is on July 4th we should not be celebrating fireworks, because there's too many people that just set off fireworks because freedom and don't understand anything about their country. They understand nothing. I had a guy arguing with me in there. And I think that video's got me to a point where I'm not getting the full exposure I used to, but just because TikTok doesn't like that content. I encourage you to share it, view it, all of that. It's pinned on my profile page. But we're not. I've said this before. This doesn't end. The current state of things doesn't end until we have another civil event take place. It's just not going to end. It is business as usual. When it comes to voting for Biden, if that's the only option I have, I'm going to. If nothing else, it gives me 4 more years until we can get other people in that can do better, then that's what I'm going to have to do. But the option of just not voting, this is what happened prior and why Trump got into office, because too many people that were blue were like, oh, I'm just not going to vote then. And then that got us in that situation. And unfortunately, there are not enough people on the Republican side or conservatives that aren't going to vote that it's going to balance out. They'll win by default just simply because of the fact that they'll show up when our people didn't. And it's not that hard for us to be, ousted in an election because of the fact that they already do things on the right-wing side to make sure that people of color, people who are not white and not Republican, they do everything they can to make sure those people can't vote. So please, if nothing else, vote for Biden. Now, I am hoping, as much as I don't like how this process works, we get something in. And I've seen Gavin Newsom, I can't pronounce his last name that well. I've seen where he may be the person to replace Biden. I'd be fine with that for multiple reasons. At this point, anybody that's younger than Biden that has more progressive values would be great. And I know people are going to argue, but California, you need to look into the issues more. If your biggest complaint at this point is raising minimum wages, putting franchises out of business, you might want to look at what those franchisees are making, how much money they make, because that's already been covered in depth. And if you're choosing to ignore all of those details, you really are cheating yourself, and you are the reason you're poor. That's it. That's all there is to it. If you think that making people raise the minimum wage and pay their employees better is the reason you're poor, you really have no idea what you're talking about. But please, just please, we need to get things set where they are. And again, people have a point too where they say if the president has immunity on official business, then Biden should be pushing through executive orders. Yeah, he should be, but we have not had a Democratic president. We have not, as far as I can remember, that has ever just pushed things through without trying to reach across the aisle to get their hands slapped and then back off and do the bare minimum. Literally the bare minimum. And it is ridiculous. We need a strong presidential candidate who's Democrat who will just do what needs to be done. I'd do it, but I don't have enough people to support me. And nobody knows me. But I would definitely do it. I'm definitely of age. I'll be 40 next year. So, you know, that's the thing, though, is that nobody wants to have the conversations. People on the right side of things just want to have talking points and think they know something. And then people on the left side of things do actually have the information and try to prove it out there. But again, it's like that old saying, you know, it's arguing with somebody on the right wing side of politics. It's like playing chess with a pigeon. Even if you won, the pigeon's still going to knock the pieces over and shit on the board and then strut away like they won. That's what it is. And it's dragging everybody down. The shameful part about it is that the betterment of everyone, every working class person, I could guarantee in a presidency in 4 years, if what was done was just what needed to be done, everybody would be better off down here. From, you know, low class, middle class, and just a little bit higher than that, everybody would be better off in this country to improve. But you guys don't want that. You know, a lot of people on the right don't want that for some reason. They seem to think that if we keep slighting the poor and feeding the rich, that after 40, 50, 60 years, it still isn't better. Maybe in 70 years, it'll be better. And it's just not. And that's the problem. We're letting the most ignorant amongst us do things that are causing problems, and we're not fixing them. We're not calling people out on that and on us being done. You guys have to demand more of your representatives. That has to be done. And we have to get the old people out. We need to start making real change, and we're just not, you guys. We think we get wins. We're not. It's just kicking the can down the road, and it's only marginal little differences. So sorry for the long video, guys. In light of everything that's happening, we need to be doing something else, and that is not happening. And I am fearful for, you know, a lot of people. I'm white presenting, so I get to enjoy some of the benefits of that, unfortunately, because I feel it's unfair that I have to watch people around me who are not suffer. LGBTQ, people of color, all get to suffer as a result of what happens if Trump gets into office and gets another 4 years, because in addition to just Project 2025 and what that lays out, let's not forget the other irrational stuff that Trump will do. You know, I have tons of fears. I could do a whole video series just on the fears I have individually and why it's such an issue and where I see it already happening. But it really is going to be a terrifying next 4 years should Trump make it back in. But, yeah, what are your thoughts, guys? As usual, on videos like these, I warn people comments will be being filtered, so please watch what you're saying. And I want civil discourse is what I want. But if you guys can't have that, you'll get blocked or you'll get removed. So, anyway, guys.